On Friday, August 9th, the rain was gone, but a heavy overcast hung in the air. This was the day that everyone had been waiting for, as the two Vanswerigen Berkshires would be running side by side on the C&O double-track mainline from Huntington to St. Albans, West Virginia. Taking center stage today would be ex-Nickel Plate Road number 765 on a freight train and ex-Père Marquette number 1225 on a passenger train. 765 left the yard first, pulling a 25-car string of new CSX hoppers. The tubs were followed by a rare chassis system caboose. The nickel plate engine departed Huntington first. This was done to get the freight in position for the first photo run just outside of town. The Lima Locomotive Works built many Class S2 locomotives for the nickel plate, and in August of 1944, it outshopped 284 number 765. The engine was immediately placed into revenue service and became a favorite among nickel plate road engineers and management. Weighing in at 440,800 pounds, with an overall length of 100 feet 8 3/4 inches, 765 spent most of her career operating east out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Her 69-inch drivers, 25 by 34-inch cylinders, and 245-pound operating boiler pressure combined to produce 64,100 pounds of tractive effort and over 4,000 drawbar horsepower. 765 was retired from service in 1958, and in 1963 was donated to the city of Fort Wayne, Indiana, where she was placed on static display in a city park. After many years of sitting outdoors, exposed to the elements, the locomotive began to deteriorate. Then, in 1972, the Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society was formed and began a campaign to save the locomotive. Through fundraising efforts and a lot of hard work, the group succeeded, returning 765 to full operating condition on September 1st, 1979. Since her return to service, she has run in excess of 45,000 miles in excursion service and has become a popular attraction wherever she goes. Following 15 minutes behind the 765 was 1225. Departing the Huntington yard, she pulls an awesome 31-car passenger train full of eager fans. Erected by the Lima Locomotive Works in October of 1941, 1225 was one of a dozen new locomotives ordered to handle the Père Marquette's steadily increasing traffic just before and during World War II. The Père Marquette took delivery of the Class N1 Berkshire less than 1 month before Pearl Harbor, and immediately placed her into revenue service, hauling fast freight on their main line. During her career on the Père Marquette, 1225 was just another one of the Vanswerigen Berks, fast, efficient freight haulers that made the tight schedules of overnighters between Chicago and Detroit a reality. 1225's design follows that of the Advisory Mechanical Committee, which represented the best mechanical engineering and design talents of the Erie, Nickel Plate, Chesapeake and Ohio, and Père Marquette railroads. Their goal was to combine these talents with a view towards standardization and development of the best possible equipment for all. Along with Lima's superpower concept, this proved to be a big success. The Lima superpower concept combined the power and adhesion of starting a heavy train with the ability to carry it at high, sustained speeds. The 1225 did just that. She regularly handled 50-car trains at speeds up to 60 miles per hour and could outpull anything on the Père Marquette. Mechanically, the 1225 was practically identical to the nickel plate 700s. Viewed from any angle, the Père Marquette 1200s were dead ringers for the Class S 284s. Possessing the classic superpower look, 1225 weighs in at 442,500 pounds. Her 26 by 34-inch cylinders combine with 69-inch drivers to produce 69,350 pounds of tractive effort and over 4,000 drawbar horsepower. She is equipped with Baker valve gear, a precision reverser, and a Lima-built 22 RE tender. Her operating boiler pressure is 245 pounds. With a capacity of 22,000 gallons of water and 22 tons of coal, she could handle any Père Marquette freight on a passenger train schedule. Steam power was last used on the Père Marquette in 1951. 1225 held on toward the end, but like her sisters, was sent to the scrap line to await her demise. In 1957, she was pulled off the scrap line and taken to the C&O shops to be cosmetically restored. She was then placed on static display on the campus of Michigan State University as a monument to the age of steam. In 1969, a group of Michigan State students expressed interest in returning 1225 to service. Project 1225 was born, and restoration began in the spring of 1971. On November 30th, 1985, she moved under steam for the first time since 1951. Restoration work continued until Saturday morning, October 8, 1988. On this day, 1225 pulled her first public excursions since rebuilding began 17 years ago. Now back in service, 1225 enters a new phase of service, that of hauling passengers, something no other 1200 ever achieved. Now, with both trains on their way, the stage was set for the twin locomotives to perform the feat that so many had come to see. It's hard to describe two matched Vanswerigen Berks running side by side down a double-track main line. It will suffice to say that 765 and 1225 are living monuments. Monuments to hard work and the volunteer efforts of a few faithful who day after day, season after season, and year after year watch the toils of their labor materialize into reality. The rebirth of smoke-belching, bell-ringing, whistle-blowing, fire-breathing mainline steam locomotives, resurrected to perform the task Lima had designed and built them to do. And perform they did. You had to be there to believe it. After the first photo run by, the passengers were reboarded, and the two trains continued their side-by-side running towards St. Albans. At Milton, West Virginia, the 765 powered freight train tripped the hotbox detector and had to come to an unexpected stop. Ironically, it was sticking brakes on one of the new CSX hoppers, and not the 765, that tripped the detector, stopping the freight. 1225 continued east for about another mile, before it too came to a stop in the rock cut under Mud River Road. At first, this was a disastrous set of circumstances for Berkshire Productions, as several of our trackside cameras were positioned in this area. The plan was to have both engines running at track speed, cab to cab, through Milton. After months of planning, no one ever took into consideration that a new hopper car would come up the works, but it did. Realizing what had happened and being committed to the success of our video cassette project, the CSX operating team of Assistant Superintendent Dan Chenoweth, Trainmaster Bucky Jones, Senior Road Foreman Dave Mitkiff, and Road Foreman Jim Ward arranged to back the 1225 and its passenger train even with the stopped 765 and retake Milton. This move salvaged the remaining side-by-side running east to Hurricane. A special word of thanks goes out to these men and the CSX Railroad for wanting to do it right. In what can best be described as steam choreography, Senior Road Foreman Dave Midkiff directs 1225 engineer Joe Sigafus and CSX Vice President of Passenger Operations Dick Young, now at the throttle of 765, into motion. 765 and its hopper train slowed to a stop outside of town. 12:25 and the passenger train continued into town where the passengers were dropped off for the second photo run of the day. Once the passengers were unloaded, 12:25 backed into position alongside the 765, and both engines proceeded forward, pilot to pilot, into Herkin. Side by side again, the locomotives were an awesome sight, turning in a spectacular performance on a run-by sure to go into the NRHS history books as one of the best. From Herkin east, there would be no more side-by-side running.